County Council is set to vote on Thrive next Tuesday. Thrive 2050 is the update to the general plan and will be the guide for land use for the county for the next 30 years. I am urging the County Council to disapprove Thrive and send it back to the Planning Board to do the research and the outreach that should have been done from the start. I want to talk a little bit about why I feel this way. Thrive has multiple varied problems and mistakes. This guide is too important. It needs to be done right, and there's no urgency to vote on it next week. Unfortunately, many of our public is either unaware of Thrive or has been misled by the Planning Board about what this plan will actually do. For example, I received emails from people asking me to support Thrive to bring down rent prices. Thrive 2050 doesn't have anything to do with bringing down rent prices. It has no solution to addressing rising rents, so passing it won't help the person who emailed me. Nor does it contain anything that would increase the amount of affordable housing now or in the future. There is clearly confusion and misinformation about Thrive. While there are numerous problems with Thrive in its current form, I wanted to highlight the 4 biggest problems. First, the most glaring problem with Thrive is the insufficient attention given to equity issues. The Planning Board exempted themselves from a racial equity analysis from the start. A pretty odd move given their planning for the 2050 future of a diverse county with serious housing inequity issues. And while the council did eventually request a consultant to conduct a racial equity analysis of community involvement, the consultants reported that they did not have enough time to do a thorough review, and they raised some serious concerns that cannot be addressed quickly. As one of the council's consultants told them, a compressed time frames are the enemy of equity. Thrive will guide future development and growth over the next 30 years. Let's take the time to do it right. Second, the Thrive 2050 plan and proponents have asserted that there must be countywide rezoning to accommodate future growth. This is actually wrong. Zoning is not the problem. Right now, today, in the development pipeline, there are 35,000 housing units that have already been approved by the Planning Board, and all the developer needs to do is get a building permit. There are no approval processes left. Add to that another 85,000 units that are part of our approved master plans within existing zoning. The vast majority are near transit. We've zoned for the housing we need, and the question we need to ask is not going to be answered by Thrive. It's why is the housing that we've zoned for not being built, and what do we need to do to address our housing needs? Third, there are no concrete proposals in Thrive to improve affordability. The Thrive conversation included discussion about missing middle housing and attainable housing. Planning Board's own study in Silver Spring showed that missing middle housing would actually be more expensive than the existing housing and unaffordable to most people. Planning's definition of attainable housing is unsubsidized market housing that is appropriate and suitable for the households that live here. They even go on to say that the county needs to end its sole focus on affordable housing, which is a gross misstatement of our affordable housing policies. Sadly, this county has never had a sole focus on affordable housing. That statement is an insult to the approximately 50,000 households who are here today and who are burdened by housing costs. When developments are approved, we ask for 12.5% to 15% of the units to be affordable to people with incomes around $60,000 to $75,000. Nothing for lower income families, of which there are many, nothing for households making more than $75,000, but not enough to afford the new market rate units being built. My fourth issue with Thrive and why the council should not pass it next week is pretty simple. The community was not engaged in this process. Doing charrettes or Zoom meetings is not the same as engagement. Thrive 2050 creators and proponents departed from the long-standing, well-respected process of deeply engaging our residents. Years ago, they were called citizen committees, when residents took the time to work with professional planners and elected officials to develop the long-term plans, the master plans that sit in most of the county today. I myself sat on the sector plan committee for Silver Spring, a broadly representative group. This time, the planning staff told the community members why they should like Thrive, rather than working with the community to develop a general plan together, to gather their input, to make sure that they understood what was being planned, and to understand whether this is something the residents thought was necessary or appropriate. None of that happened. If you share my concerns, please contact your county council representatives and ask them to vote no on Thrive 2050. This plan has problems that need to be fixed now. does not have to be passed this quickly. It can and should be sent back to the Planning Board.